The blue flames from the alien ship's engines lit up the darkness of space. Admiral Keffer stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn and watched his fleet move into position. 300 years of war had taught him to be careful. Every move had to be perfect. Every shot had to count. "Sir, the Void Swarm ships are coming into range," said his aide, a young Zelari officer with silver skin that glowed softly in the bridge lights. Keffer nodded slowly. His long fingers touched the control panel in front of him. The Coalition fleet was beautiful to watch. Ships from 12 different worlds moved together like dancers. The Zelari vessels with their curved hulls and energy shields. The Corvan. Ships that looked like metal spears cutting through space. The crystal ships of the Nethys that sparkled with inner light. "Begin the ritual approach," Keffer ordered. The fleet spread out in the ancient formation. This was how space battles had been fought for centuries. Each species followed the old rules. They would close to proper range, exchange fire for exactly 47 minutes, then fall back to evaluate damage and plan the next move. Captain Jake Morrison stood near the back of the bridge. He was the only human on the ship. His brown hair was cut short and his blue eyes watched everything. The aliens let him stay because Earth wanted to join their war. But they did not listen to him. Jake had been watching these battles for 6 months. The same thing happened every time. The Coalition ships would dance around the enemy. They would fire their weapons with perfect timing. They would follow every rule of war that had been written down over the centuries. And then they would retreat and plan for the next battle. The Void Swarm was different. Their ships looked like black metal bugs with too many legs. They moved in strange ways that hurt to look at. They had been eating planets and turning people into machines for 300 years, but they also followed patterns. They had learned to fight the Coalition's way. "Enemy vessels are matching our formation," reported the tactical officer, Jake. Watch the enemy ships spread out to mirror the Coalition fleet. It was like watching two dance partners who knew all the same steps. The Void Swarm had been doing this for so long that they could predict every Coalition move. "Sir, should we proceed with Standard Engagement Protocol 7? Asked the weapons officer. Keffer touched his chin with one long finger. "Yes, begin the approach." The Coalition ships moved forward at exactly the right speed. Not too fast, because that would be rude. Not too slow, because that would show fear. Just the right speed that had been decided on 300 years ago. Jake wanted to scream. On Earth, he had been a Navy captain. He had fought in 3 wars before humans discovered faster-than-light travel. He knew what real fighting looked like. It was fast and ugly, and people died quickly. It was not like this beautiful, slow dance in space. "Firing range in 30 seconds, announced the tactical officer. The alien officers around Jake stood straighter. Their different colored skins, blue, silver, crystal, and others, all seemed to glow with excitement. This was the moment they lived for. The perfect moment when 2 fleets would test each other with honor and dignity. Jake looked at his watch. The battle would last exactly 47 minutes. Then both sides would pull back. They would count their dead and fix their ships. In a week, they would do it all over again somewhere else. The Void Swarm ships opened fire first. Black energy beams cut through space toward the Coalition fleet. The Zelari shields glowed bright blue as they absorbed the attacks. Some ships rocked as the beams got through, but not many. "Return fire," ordered Keffer. The Coalition weapons fired back. Bright lasers and particle beams reached across space toward the enemy. The alien ships moved in perfect formation. Each shot was aimed with care. Each beam was calculated to do just enough damage. Jake watched a Void Swarm ship get hit by 3 beams at once. Its black hull cracked and green fire leaked out. But it did not die. Coalition weapons were designed to disable, not destroy. It was more civilized that way. "Direct hit on enemy cruiser," reported the weapons officer with pride. "Excellent." "Continue the pattern," said Keffer. The battle continued. Exactly as planned. Ships moved in slow circles around each other. Weapons fired at regular intervals. Shields absorbed most of the damage. A few ships on both sides started to smoke or leak atmosphere. But nobody was trying to actually win. Jake had seen enough. He walked to the front of the bridge where Kethver stood watching the battle like it was a work of art. "Admiral," Jake said quietly. "Yes, Captain Morrison." Kethver did not look away from the display. "We could end this right now." Now the Admiral did look at him. His large purple eyes showed confusion. "And what?" "The battle. The war, all of it." Jake pointed at the enemy ships. "If we just changed our approach." "Captain," Kethver's voice was sharp, "you are here to observe, not to suggest changes to 3 centuries of proven tactics." But your proven tactics aren't working," Jake said. "You've been fighting the same war for 300 years. Nothing ever changes." "That is because war is not about winning quickly," said Kethver. "It is about fighting with honor, about following the proper forms, about showing respect for your enemy." Jake stared at him. "Respect for your enemy? They eat planets. They turn people into machines. Even so, there are rules. There are proper ways to conduct warfare between civilized species." The 47 minutes ended exactly on schedule. Both fleets began to pull back to safe distance. The void swarm. Ships turned and headed back toward their staging area. The coalition ships formed up to return to base. Jake counted the results in his head. The coalition had damaged 6 enemy ships. The enemy had damaged 4 coalition ships. Nobody was destroyed. Nobody was captured. Nothing had really changed. "Another successful engagement," said Kethver with satisfaction. "We maintained formation, discipline, and achieved acceptable damage ratios." "You let them get away," Jake said. "They did not get away. They conducted an organized withdrawal, as did we. This is how space combat works, Captain Morrison. Perhaps when humanity develops more sophisticated understanding of warfare, you will appreciate the elegance." Jake looked out at the enemy ships disappearing into the dark. On Earth, if someone was killing your people and eating your planets, you hunted them down. You did not fight them once a week in carefully planned battles that never accomplished anything. "Admiral, what if there was a way to actually win?" Jake asked. Kethver turned to face him fully. His purple eyes were cold. "Win? Captain, this is not some primitive slugging match. This is civilized warfare between advanced species. We do not seek to win in the brutal sense you mean. We seek to demonstrate our tactical superiority while minimizing unnecessary destruction." "But people are dying while you demonstrate tactical superiority." "People die in war, Captain. That is unavoidable. But they die with honor, following proper protocols. They do not die in some chaotic brawl like your human conflicts." Jake felt his hands clench into fists. He forced himself to relax. Getting angry would just prove their point about humans being too primitive. The bridge crew was cleaning up from the battle. They moved with calm efficiency. Nobody seemed upset that they had let the enemy escape again. Nobody seemed frustrated that the war would just continue tomorrow. Jake walked to the observation window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the void swarm was planning their next move. They would attack another planet, turn more people into machines, and the coalition would respond with another perfectly planned battle that accomplished nothing. On Earth, the military leaders were begging to join this war. They thought if humanity could just prove themselves, the aliens would accept them as partners. But Jake was starting to understand the truth. The aliens did not want to end this war. They wanted to fight it forever in their beautiful, useless way. He thought about his old ship back on Earth. The UES Ranger was not pretty like these alien vessels. It was built to fight and win. Its weapons were designed to destroy enemies, not dance with them. Its crew knew that war was not about honor or elegance. It was about making the other guy stop shooting at you. "Captain Morrison," Kethver's voice interrupted his thoughts. "I trust this has been educational for you." Jake turned around. "Yes, Admiral, very educational." "Good. Perhaps you can report to your leaders that humanity still has much to learn." "About civilized warfare." Jake nodded and smiled. But inside he was thinking something very different. Maybe it was the aliens who had something to learn? The Coalition Council chamber on Haven Prime was unlike anything humans had ever built. The room was a perfect sphere made of living crystal that grew from the station's core. Light moved through the walls in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. 12 different types of chairs floated in a circle, each one designed for a different alien body. Dr. Lisa Park stood in the center of the sphere. She was 45 years old with gray hair and calm brown eyes. She had been Earth's chief diplomat for 10 years. Today was the most important day of her career. This was humanity's third attempt to join the Galactic Coalition. Around her, the alien representatives settled into their floating chairs. She had studied each species for months. The Zilari with their purple skin and long fingers. The Corvan who looked like walking metal sculptures. The crystal beings called Nethys who spoke in musical tones. The bird-like Aetherians with their feathered wings. 8 other species she had memorized. The Council recognizes Dr. Lisa Park of Earth, announced Chancellor Vexhai. He was from the Therian Collective, a species that looked like giant insects, with too many arms. His voice buzzed when he spoke. Lisa activated her presentation device. Holographic displays filled the air around her. Pictures of Earth cities, charts showing human technology, videos of human achievements in space. Honored Council members, Lisa began. I come before you today representing 4 billion humans who wish to join your fight against the Void Swarm. We may be new to space travel, but we are not new to fighting for what is right. The first display showed human fusion reactors. We have developed clean energy sources that could power your ships. Our reactors are smaller and more efficient than current Coalition technology. Some of the aliens leaned forward with interest. The Corvan representative, Strategic Mind Zoldan, made notes on his metal tablet. His species valued efficiency above all else. Lisa continued. Our medical technology has eliminated most diseases on Earth. We can regenerate damaged organs and repair genetic defects. Our doctors could help heal your wounded soldiers. The display changed to show human hospitals. Patients with artificial hearts and regrown limbs. The Etherian representative, Wind Whisper Solara, watched with obvious fascination. Her people were healers by nature. We have also developed new materials, Lisa said. Our carbon fiber composites are stronger than steel but weigh almost nothing. Our memory metals can repair themselves when damaged. More displays filled the air, human ships under construction, advanced weapons systems, planetary defense networks. Lisa had practiced this presentation 100 times. Most importantly, she said, humans are adaptable. We can learn quickly and work with other species. We want to be part of your alliance. We want to help end this war. When she finished, the crystal chamber fell silent. The alien representatives looked at each other. Some seemed impressed. Others looked bored. Chancellor Vexhai spoke first. Dr. Park, your species has indeed made remarkable progress in a short time. However, the Council has concerns about humanity's single quotes s. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Strategic Mind Zoldan answered. His metal face showed no emotion. We have studied human history. Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years. You have developed weapons designed only to kill. You show no restraint in combat. That's not true, Lisa protested. Humans have also created art and music and poetry. We have built great cities and healed the sick. Yes, we have fought wars, but we have also made peace. Wind Whisper Solara floated forward. Her feathered wings spread wide. Dr. Park, we do not question human creativity or intelligence. But your combat philosophy is troubling. You fight to destroy your enemies completely. This is not how civilized beings conduct warfare. Lisa felt her heart sink. She had expected this argument. What's wrong with defeating your enemies? Isn't that the point of war? No, said Kethver. The Zilari admiral had joined the council session by video link. War between civilized species is about demonstrating superiority while maintaining honor. It is about following proper protocols and minimizing unnecessary destruction. But the Void Swarm is destroying entire planets, Lisa said. They're turning people into machines. How is being polite going to stop them? The same way it has stopped them for 3 centuries, buzzed Chancellor Vexhai. Through careful strategy and disciplined tactics. Not through the crude brawling that humans seem to prefer. Lisa looked around the chamber. She could see the decision in their alien faces. They had already made up their minds before she even started talking. Behind her, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Davis shifted his weight. He was her military aide, a tall man with short black hair and angry green eyes. Lisa could feel his frustration building. Council members, Lisa tried one more time. Humans have been fighting for survival our entire history. We know how to win wars. Maybe that's exactly what you need right now. What you call winning, we call barbarism, said a new voice. The speaker was from the Vorthek hegemony, a species that looked like walking trees with too many branches. Your tactics lack elegance, your weapons lack refinement, your soldiers lack discipline. Sam Davis had heard enough. He stepped forward before Lisa could stop him. Lack discipline? Sam's voice was loud in the crystal chamber. Our soldiers follow orders and complete missions. Your soldiers spend more time worrying about proper formation than actually fighting. Colonel Davis, Lisa warned, but Sam was not finished. You've been fighting the same war for 300 years and getting nowhere. Maybe it's time to try something that actually works. The alien representatives recoiled as if Sam had slapped them. Chancellor Vexhai's insect eyes glowed red with anger. This outburst proves our point exactly, Vexhai buzzed. Humans are too volatile, too aggressive. You cannot control your emotions in a simple discussion. How could we trust you in actual combat? Because in actual combat, emotions matter, Sam shot back. Anger and determination and the will to win. You can't fight a war like it's a chess game. Strategic mind Zoldan's metal fingers clicked together. Colonel, warfare is exactly like chess. It requires careful planning, precise execution, and respect for your opponent. These are concepts your species appears incapable of understanding. Lisa put her hand on Sam's arm. She could feel him shaking with anger, but getting upset would only make things worse. Honored Council, she said. Please don't judge all humans by one man's frustration. We genuinely want to help. We're willing to learn your ways. Wind Whisper Solara looked sad. Her feathered head tilted to one side. Dr. Park, we believe you are sincere, but your species is not ready for coalition membership. Perhaps in another century or two, when humans have learned to approach conflict with more sophistication. The vote was quick and unanimous. All 12 species rejected humanity's application. Lisa watched the holographic displays show the results. Earth would remain alone in its fight against any future threats. The decision is final, announced Chancellor Vexhai. Humanity's application for coalition membership is denied. This council will not reconsider for a minimum of 50 standard years. Lisa gathered her presentation materials with steady hands. She had expected this outcome, but it still hurt. Behind her, Sam was muttering curses under his breath as they prepared to leave. Admiral Kethver's voice came through the communication system. Dr. Park, if I may speak privately? The other council members filed out of the chamber. Soon only Lisa, Sam, and Kethver's holographic image remained. Admiral? Lisa said. Kethver looked uncomfortable. Doctor, I want you to know that this decision is not personal. Many of us respect human achievements. But your military philosophy is simply incompatible with coalition doctrine. I understand, Lisa said, though she did not really understand at all. Your species approaches war like a disease to be cured quickly, Kethver continued. We approach it like an art form to be practiced perfectly. These two views cannot coexist. Sam stepped forward again. What if your art form isn't working? What if 300 years of perfect practice has gotten you nowhere? Kethver's purple eyes narrowed. Colonel, our methods have prevented the complete destruction of the galaxy. Yes, the war continues, but we maintain our civilization while we fight. We do not descend into chaos and brutality. You call it civilization, Sam said. I call it Losing slowly, the Admiral's image flickered with annoyance. Perhaps, Colonel, that is the difference between a warrior and a soldier. We fight with honor. You fight to win. And what's wrong with winning? Sam asked. Kethfer was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Nothing, I suppose. But winning at any cost makes you no better than the enemy you fight. The communication ended. Lisa and Sam stood alone in the crystal chamber. Around them, the walls continued to pulse with alien light. Well, Sam said. That went about as well. As expected, Lisa sighed. We'll go home and tell them what happened. Maybe in 50 years they'll be more open to working with us. Sam looked at the empty chairs where the alien representatives had been sitting. Lisa, what if we don't have 50 years? What if the Void Swarm wins while these idiots are busy following their rules? Lisa did not have an answer for that. She gathered the last of her materials and headed for the door. Behind them, the crystal chamber continued to glow with beautiful, useless light. 6 months after the council meeting, Admiral Kethfer was having his morning tea when the first alarm sounded. He set down his cup carefully on the crystal table in his quarters aboard the Eternal Dawn. The alarm was the deep, slow tone that meant incoming enemy forces. Not unusual. The Void Swarm attacked somewhere almost every day, but then the second alarm sounded, and the third. And the fourth. Kethfer ran to the bridge still wearing his sleeping robes. His purple skin was pale with shock. On the main display, red dots were appearing everywhere. 14 different star systems, all under attack at the same time. Report, he ordered. Commander Feliner, his aide, was reading from multiple data streams. Her silver hands moved quickly over the controls. Sir, we're receiving distress calls from across the coalition. The swarm is attacking everywhere at once. That's impossible, Kethfer said. They don't have enough ships for a coordinated assault of this size. Sir, these aren't the same ships we've been fighting, Feliner's voice was shaking. The enemy. Vessels are different, larger. They're using new weapons that can pass through our shields. On the tactical display, Kethfer watched coalition fleets engage the enemy in their traditional formations. He expected to see the usual careful dance of space combat. Instead, he saw his ships being torn apart. Get me Admiral Zorthak on the Corvin front, Kethfer ordered. The communication screen flickered to life. Admiral Zorthak appeared, but his usual calm was gone. Behind him, Kethfer could see sparks flying from damaged consoles. The Corvin Admiral's nettle face was dented and scratched. Kethfer, thank the Void you're still alive, Zorthak said. We need immediate reinforcement. The enemy is using some kind of phasing technology. Our shields are useless. What do you mean, phasing? Kethfer asked. Their weapons pass right through our defensive barriers. They're hitting our ships directly. And these new bioships? They're bigger than anything we've seen. Some of them are the size of our space stations. The communication cut to static. Kethfer tried to reconnect but got nothing. On the tactical display, the red dot marking the Corvin fleet suddenly went dark. Sir, Commander Feliner called out. We're receiving a priority message from the Nephis home system. The next transmission showed chaos. Crystal spires that had stood for 10,000 years were cracking and falling. The Nephis lived in cities made of living crystal that sang in harmony. Now those cities were screaming. The songs are wrong, gasped the Nephis commander. Her crystal body was flickering between different colors. The enemy has infected our networks. Our quantum computers are turning against us. The harmony is broken. That transmission also went to static. Kethfer sank into his command chair. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. The coalition had always fought the Void Swarm to a standstill. Now they were being crushed. Sir, incoming transmission from Haven Prime, announced the communication officer, Chancellor. Vexai appeared on screen. The insect leader's compound eyes were wild with panic. Behind him, Kethfer could see other council members arguing loudly in their different alien languages. Admiral Kethfer, you must fall back to the inner defense perimeter immediately. Vexai buzzed. All outer colonies are lost. The swarm has evolved beyond our tactical models. How is that possible? Kethfer asked. We've been fighting them for 3 centuries. They follow patterns. They use predictable strategies. Not anymore, said another voice. Windwhisper Solara moved into view. Her feathers were ruffled, and her wings hung limply. They've adapted to everything we do, every tactic we use, every weapon we deploy. It's as if they've been studying us. Kethver felt cold realization creep up his spine. They have been studying us. For 300 years, we've been teaching them how to fight us. The ritual combat, whispered Solara. The formal engagements, the predictable patterns. We showed them everything. On the display behind the council members, Kethver could see the tactical situation across the galaxy. Red zones were spreading like a plague. World after world was going dark. The coalition was dying. What are our options? Kethver asked. Strategic mind. Zoldan's voice came from somewhere off-screen. We could retreat to the core worlds. Establish a defensive perimeter around the most important systems. Try to hold what we can. For how long? Vexai asked. Unknown. Without our outer colonies, we cannot sustain a long-term defense, perhaps a few years at most. Kethver studied the tactical display. The Void Swarm was advancing on all fronts. Their new bioships moved faster than anything the Coalition had faced before, and they were growing. Each planet they consumed made them stronger. There is another option, said a quiet voice. Everyone turned to look at Solara. The Aetherians' bird-like head was tilted in thought. The Deep Dwellers, she said. The ancient ones who disappeared into the black holes. Perhaps they would help us. No one has heard from the Deep Dwellers in 50,000 years, Zoldan protested. They may not even exist anymore. Do we have any other choice? Solara? asked. The council chamber fell silent. On the tactical display, another star system went dark, then another. There's one more option, said Vexai quietly. One we have not discussed. Kethver knew what the Chancellor was thinking. He could see it in the insect's compound eyes. The unthinkable option? No, Kethver said immediately. Absolutely not. Admiral, we may not have a choice, Vexai said. They are primitives, Zoldan's voice was harsh. Barbarians who know nothing of civilized warfare. They would make the situation worse. Worse than total extinction? Solara asked. The tactical display updated again. The Aetherian homeworld was under attack. Solara watched as her people's ancient tree cities began to burn. The humans, she whispered. You're talking about asking the humans for help. It's madness, said Zoldan. Their methods are crude and violent. They would turn this into a bloodbath. It's already a bloodbath, Vexai pointed out. The difference is that we're the ones bleeding. Kethver watched the red zone spread. Across the galactic map, the Coalition was losing everything they had built over thousands of years, every world, every achievement, every work of art and philosophy and science. The humans fight to win, Solara said quietly. Maybe that's what we need right now. They don't understand honor in combat, Zoldan protested. They don't follow proper protocols. They use tactics that are effective? Kethver asked. The word hung in the air like a curse. For 3 centuries, the Coalition had prided itself on fighting with honor and dignity. They had maintained their civilization while fighting a careful, controlled war. But now their enemy had learned all their rules and was using those rules to destroy them. We would have to give them full military access, Vexai said. Complete information about our fleets and tactics. We would have to trust them with everything. And if they refuse? Asked Zoldan. We rejected their application for membership. They have no reason to help us. Kethver thought about Captain Jake Morrison, the human observer who had watched their battles with such obvious frustration. Morrison had seen the futility of their methods months ago. He had tried to warn them. They'll help, Kethver said quietly. Humans can't resist a fight, especially when people are dying. Another star system went dark on the display, then another. The Void Swarm was advancing faster. Now, consuming entire worlds in hours instead of days. Make the call, Vexhai said finally. Contact Earth, tell them we need their help. What do we offer them in return? Asked Solara. Full membership in the coalition, Vexhai said. Complete access to our technology. Equal status with all member species. If there's still a coalition left to join, Zoldan added darkly. Kethver opened a priority channel to Earth. It would take hours for the message to reach human space. By then, how many more worlds would be lost? This is Admiral Kethver of the Galactic Coalition, he began recording. We are requesting immediate military assistance from Earth. The Void Swarm has launched a coordinated assault across our territory. Our conventional forces are being overwhelmed. We need your help. He paused, thinking about what to say next. How do you ask for help from people you've rejected? How do you admit that everything you believed about warfare was wrong? We are prepared to offer Earth full membership in the coalition in exchange for military support. Time is critical. Please respond as soon as possible. He ended the recording and sent it toward Earth. Then he sat back in his chair and watched the galaxy burn. On the tactical display, the red zones continued to spread. The careful formations that had defined coalition warfare for centuries were being swept away like leaves in a storm. 300 years of tradition and honor were crumbling in real time. How long until we hear back from Earth? Asked Felinar. 6 hours for the message to reach them. Maybe another hour to decide. 6 hours for their response to reach us. Kethver did the math in his head. 13 hours total. Will we last that long? Kethver looked at the tactical display. At the current rate of advance, the Void Swarm would reach the inner worlds in less than 2 days. The Coalition's last strongholds would fall in less than a week. We have to, he said, but deep down he wondered if they had already waited too long. The humans might be willing to help. But by the time they arrived, there might be nothing left to save. Dr. Lisa Park was eating breakfast in her apartment on Luna when her emergency communicator started screaming. She looked at the clock. 5 in the morning, Earth time. Only 3 types of calls came this early: death in the family, natural disaster, or galactic emergency. She grabbed the communicator and saw Admiral Kethver's face on the small screen. The alien looked terrible. His purple skin was gray with exhaustion and his long fingers were shaking. Dr. Park, thank you for responding. Quickly, I am sending you an emergency message from the Coalition Council. Please review it immediately and contact your leadership. The transmission ended. Lisa sat in her kitchen chair and watched the official message play out on her wall screen. Images of burning worlds. Coalition fleets being torn apart. The proud alien civilizations she had studied for years crumbling in real time. When it finished, she called President Don Carter directly. Lisa? The president's voice was thick with sleep. What's happening? Sir, we need an emergency cabinet meeting. The coalition is collapsing. They're asking for our help. Our help? Didn't they just reject us 6 months ago? Yes, sir. But now, they're desperate. 2 hours later, Lisa sat in the White House Situation Room. Around the long table were the most powerful people on Earth. President Carter at the head. Secretary of Defense Helen Brooks. Secretary of State Mike Torres. And General Kate Sullivan, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Let me make sure. I understand this, President Carter said. The same aliens who told us we were too primitive to join their war are now asking us to save them from that same war. That's correct, Mr. President, Lisa said. General Sullivan leaned forward. She was a small woman with short red hair and sharp green eyes. She had fought in 4 wars and looked like she was ready for a 5th. What's their military situation? She asked. Lisa activated the holographic display. They've lost half their territory in less than a week. The enemy is using new tactics that bypass all coalition defenses. At current rate of advance, the alien core worlds will fall within days. How many ships do they have left? Asked Secretary Brooks. Maybe 3,000 combat vessels across all species. But they're scattered and demoralized. Many fleet commanders are refusing to engage the enemy. Refusing to fight? General Sullivan's voice was sharp with disbelief. Their entire military philosophy is based on formal combat. Set battles with agreed rules. The Void Swarm isn't following those rules anymore. The Coalition doesn't know how to adapt. President Carter studied the tactical display. What are they offering in exchange for our help? Full membership in the Coalition. Access to all their technology. Equal status with the founding species. And what do they want from us? Lisa looked around the table. Everything. Complete military cooperation, access to our fleet deployments, authority to coordinate all human forces in the war zone. They want us to put our entire military under alien command. Secretary Brooks asked. No, ma'am. They want us to take command. The room fell silent. Outside the windows, Lisa could see the Washington Monument rising into the gray morning sky. Earth looked so peaceful from here. Hard to believe that, across the galaxy, entire civilizations were dying. How many ships can we deploy? President Carter asked. General Sullivan answered immediately. Full deep space fleet is 237 vessels, mostly destroyers and cruisers. We've got 12 heavy battleships and 1 dreadnought. Against how many enemy ships? Unknown. Intelligence estimates anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 Void Swarm vessels. Secretary. Torres shook his head. Those odds are impossible. We'd be throwing our entire fleet away for nothing. Maybe not nothing, General Sullivan said quietly. Everyone looked at her. The general was studying the tactical data with the expression of a predator sizing up prey. General? President Carter prompted. Sir, I've been reading about Coalition. Tactics. They fight like it's a parade ground exercise. Perfect formations, scheduled engagements, minimum necessary force. And that's exactly how you lose a war. Sullivan stood up and pointed at the display. Look at these battle reports. The Coalition never tries to actually destroy enemy forces. They damage them and let them retreat. They've been training the Void Swarm for 3 centuries. What would you do differently? Lisa asked. Sullivan smiled. It was not a nice smile. I'd stop playing games. The Alien Council talks about honor and civilization and proper protocols, but war isn't about being polite. It's about making the other guy stop fighting. Even against impossible odds? Secretary Brooks asked. Ma'am, humans have won against impossible odds before. We just don't do it by following the enemy's rules. President Carter was quiet for a long moment. Lisa could see him weighing the decision. Save Earth's resources for defending their own planet or risk everything to help aliens who had rejected them. General Sullivan, if we commit our fleet to this fight, what are our chances? Of winning the war, unknown, of making a difference? Very high. Sir, the Coalition has been fighting defensively for 300 years. Maybe it's time someone went on the attack. You're talking about offensive operations against an enemy that just crushed 12 alien civilizations. Yes, sir. Because that's how you win wars. You don't win by hiding behind walls. You win by breaking the enemy so badly they can't fight back. Lisa watched the faces around the table. She could see the military leaders getting excited about the possibility of real combat. The politicians looked more cautious. There's another factor to consider, Lisa said. If the Coalition falls, Earth will be alone when the Void Swarm comes for us. And they will come for us eventually. How long do we have to decide? President Carter asked. The Coalition fleet is gathering at Rally Point Omega. If we're going to help, our ships need to be there in 72 hours. The president looked around the table one more time. General Sullivan, how fast can you deploy the fleet? Give me the order, and I can have ships moving in 6 hours. Admiral Troy Baker has been keeping the Deep Space Fleet on standby ever since the Coalition War started heating up. Admiral Baker? Lisa remembered the name from military briefings. Isn't he the one who ended the Lunar Rebellion? Yes, ma'am. In about 15 minutes? Sullivan's smile got wider. He doesn't believe in long wars. President Carter made his decision. General, prep the fleet for immediate deployment. Dr. Park, send our response to the Coalition. Tell them the cavalry is coming. What should I? Tell them about our tactical approach? Lisa asked. Tell them we'll handle this our way. If they want our help, they'll have to trust our methods. Lisa nodded and started drafting the response. Around the table, the military leaders were already deep in planning discussions. She heard phrases like maximum firepower and target saturation and acceptable losses. 2 hours later, Admiral Troy Baker received his orders aboard the UES Constitution. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from the Luna War. He had been waiting for this call his entire career. All ships, this is Admiral Baker, he announced to the fleet. We are deploying to assist coalition forces. Against the Void Swarm, this is not a police action. This is not a peacekeeping mission, this is war. He paused and looked out at the 200 ships floating in formation around his flagship. Human ships built for fighting, not dancing. Weapons designed to destroy, not disable. Crews trained to win, not perform. I want every ship commander to understand something, Baker continued. The Coalition has been fighting this war for 300 years using their rules. We're going to end it using ours? Questions? Captain Nick Torres of the UES Wolverine spoke up. Sir, what about Coalition combat protocols? What about them? Do we follow their formation requirements? Their engagement procedures? Baker's laugh was cold. Captain, when we get there, I want you to forget everything you know about proper military courtesy. The aliens can watch and learn how humans fight. Or they can stay out of our way. Across the fleet, ship commanders acknowledged their orders. Gun crews ran final checks on weapons that the Coalition would consider barbarically powerful. Fighter. Pilots reviewed attack patterns that prioritized damage over elegance. Dr. Lisa Park watched the deployment from the observation deck of Luna Base. 200 human warships accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. She thought about the aliens who had rejected humanity's offer of partnership 6 months ago. Now they were about to learn what that partnership could have accomplished. Her communicator chimed with an incoming message from Admiral Kethver. The alien admiral looked even worse than before. His purple skin was almost white with exhaustion. Dr. Park, we have received your response. Thank you, but I must ask. Your Admiral Baker's message was somewhat aggressive. Is he aware that warfare between civilized species follows certain protocols? Lisa looked out at the human fleet disappearing into the dark. Admiral, I think you're about to learn that humans don't fight civilized wars. We fight wars to end them. The transmission ended. Lisa remained at the observation window until the last human ship vanished into jump space. In 48 hours, the galaxy was going to discover what happened when you asked humanity to join a fight. She just hoped there would be a galaxy left when it was over. The Terminus system looked like a graveyard when Admiral Troy Baker's fleet arrived. Broken Coalition ships drifted in the darkness. Some were still burning. Others had been cut in half by Void Swarm weapons. The few surviving alien vessels huddled together near the system's outer edge like frightened animals. Admiral Kethver's ship, the Eternal Dawn, was damaged but still fighting. Its blue shields flickered weakly as Baker's flagship approached. The human admiral studied the tactical display on his bridge. What he saw made him angry. 50,000 Void Swarm ships, reported his tactical officer, Commander Beth Wright. They're arranged in perfect defensive formation around the gas giant. Looks like they're waiting for us. Baker nodded. The enemy had learned to fight like the Coalition. Careful positions, defensive screens, overlapping fields of fire. It was exactly what he had expected. Sir, incoming transmission from Admiral Kethver, announced the communication officer. The alien admiral appeared on Baker's main screen. His purple skin was gray with exhaustion and his uniform was torn. Behind him, Baker could see smoke rising from damaged consoles. Admiral Baker, thank you for coming, Kethver said. I must brief you on Void Swarm tactics and Coalition battle protocols. We need to coordinate our approach carefully. No, we don't, Baker said. Kethver blinked his large eyes. I'm sorry? Admiral, you've been fighting these things for 300 years using careful coordination. How's that working out for you? But surely you need to understand our formation requirements. Our engagement procedures. The proper way to conduct space combat. Baker looked at the tactical display again. The Void Swarm fleet was enormous. Black bioships that looked like giant insects with too many weapons. They were arranged in the same defensive pattern the Coalition had used for centuries. Admiral Kethver, I want you to pull your ships back to minimum safe distance. Watch and learn. Watch and learn what? How humans end wars. Baker cut the transmission and turned to his crew. The bridge of the UES Constitution was nothing like a Coalition ship. No crystal decorations or floating chairs. Just metal and weapons and people who knew how to use them. All ships, this is Admiral Baker, he announced to the fleet. Forget everything you know about proper space combat. We're not here to dance with these things. We're here to kill them all. He paused and looked at his tactical display. 200 human ships against 50,000 enemy vessels. The odds were insane. Perfect. All units maximum burn toward the enemy center. No formations, no careful approaches. Just point your ships at the biggest target you can find and start shooting. Commander Wright looked up from her station. Sir, that's suicide. We'll lose half the fleet in the first pass. Maybe, Baker said, but we'll take 10,000 of them with us. And that's 10,000 they can't use to eat planets. On the tactical display, Baker watched his ship spread out and accelerate toward the enemy. No neat formations. No careful spacing. Just 200 human warships charging straight at the heart of the Void Swarm. Captain Nick Torres commanded. The UES Wolverine, a heavy cruiser built for close combat. He watched the enemy fleet grow larger on his screens as his ship raced toward them at maximum speed. Sir, they're not moving, reported his weapons officer. The swarm ships are maintaining defensive positions, Torres smiled. The enemy had learned to fight like the Coalition. They expected the humans to slow down and engage at proper range. They expected careful maneuvering and polite exchanges of fire. All weapons, continuous fire, Torres ordered. Don't stop shooting until we run out of targets or ammunition. The human fleet hit the Void Swarm lines like a hammer striking glass. Nuclear warheads detonated inside enemy formations. Plasma cannons fired point-blank into bioship hulls. Human vessels rammed through swarm screens without slowing down. Commander Beth Wright coordinated the fighter squadrons from the Constitution. She watched her pilots do things that would make Coalition officers faint with horror. Fighters loaded with nuclear bombs flew directly into swarm command ships and detonated. Pilots whose ships were damaged aimed for the nearest enemy vessel and rammed it at full speed. Wolverine Squadron, target that command cluster, Wright ordered. I copy that, Control. Going in hot. She watched 12 human fighters dive toward a group of massive Void Swarm bioships. The enemy point defense systems. Open fire, filling space with deadly energy beams. 3 fighters exploded immediately. The remaining 9 kept coming. This is Wolverine Leader, came the pilot's voice. We're taking heavy fire. Probably won't make it back. Understood, Wolverine Leader. Make it count. Roger that. See you in hell, you ugly bugs. The 9 fighters crashed into the swarm command ships and detonated their nuclear payload simultaneously. The explosion was visible across the entire battlefield. When the light faded, the command cluster was gone. Admiral Kethver watched the battle from his damaged bridge and felt his understanding of warfare crumble. The humans were not following any rules he recognized. They were not trying to minimize casualties or preserve their ships. They were trying to inflict maximum damage as quickly as possible. This is madness, whispered his aide, Commander Felliner. They're destroying themselves. No, Kethver said slowly. They're destroying the enemy. On his tactical display, he could see the Void Swarm formation beginning to break apart. The enemy had been built to fight careful, predictable battles. They could not adapt to the chaos the humans were creating. A human ship called the UES Ranger had lost its engines and was drifting toward a swarm bioship the size of a space station. Instead of abandoning ship, the crew aimed their vessel at the enemy's weapon clusters and detonated their reactor core. The explosion took out an entire section of the bioship's defenses. "Get me Admiral Baker," Kethver ordered. Baker's face appeared on the communication screen. Behind him, Kethver could see the human bridge shaking from weapons fire. Sparks were flying from damaged systems. But Baker looked calm. "Admiral, your losses are enormous," Kethver said. "Surely you should pull back and regroup." "Admiral, in 3 hours we've destroyed more swarm ships than your coalition managed in 3 centuries. We're not pulling back until they're all dead." "But your casualties are acceptable. That's what soldiers are for." The transmission cut out as another wave of human ships crashed into the swarm lines. Kethver realized he was watching something that had never happened before in the galaxy's history. A species that fought wars to end them completely. Captain Torres watched his weapons officer count down their ammunition. The Wolverine had been fighting continuously for 4 hours. Most of their missiles were gone. Half their crew was dead or wounded, but they were still fighting. "Sir, we're down to our last torpedo spread," the weapons officer reported. "Target?" "That big command ship at the center of their formation. The one that looks like a metal cathedral." Torres studied the target. It was the largest Void Swarm vessel on the battlefield. Probably their overall commander. If they could take it out, the entire enemy fleet might collapse. "All power to engines," Torres ordered. "We're going in." "Sir, that's a one-way trip." No, the Wolverine accelerated toward the massive bioship. Enemy weapons tore pieces off the human cruiser, but Torres kept his ship pointed at the target. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency. They knew they were going to die. They also knew they were going to take a lot of enemies with them. "Torpedo spread armed and ready," the weapons officer announced. "Fire everything, then ram." The Wolverine's last missiles streaked toward the swarm command ship. The biovessel's point defenses destroyed most of them, but 3 nuclear warheads got through. The explosions tore huge holes in the alien hull. Then the Wolverine itself crashed into the command ship at 10% of light speed. The human cruiser and the swarm bioship vanished in a ball of nuclear fire that lit up the entire system. When the explosion faded, something impossible happened. The Void Swarm fleet stopped moving. 50,000 bioships that had been advancing on human positions suddenly went silent and still. "They're dead," whispered Commander Wright from the Constitution. "The whole fleet. They're all dead." "Admiral." Baker looked at his tactical display. The swarm vessels were drifting without power or coordination. Whatever collective intelligence had controlled them was gone. "All ships, cease fire," Baker ordered. "Target any vessel that shows signs of movement, but hold fire on the drifters." The battle was over. 5 hours after it began, the Void Swarm was defeated, not damaged, not driven back. Completely destroyed, Baker opened a channel to Admiral Kethver. "Admiral, this is Baker. Enemy fleet is neutralized. You can bring your ships forward to secure the area." Kethver's voice was barely a whisper. "Admiral." "How? We stopped fighting their war and made them fight ours?" Later, as the coalition ships moved through the wreckage, Kethver found Admiral Baker on the observation deck of the Constitution. The human admiral was looking out at the debris field where 50,000 enemy ships had been destroyed. "Your losses were severe," Kethver said. 70 human ships destroyed. Thousands of your people dead. "Yes," Baker said simply. "But you ended a war that lasted 3 centuries, in 5 hours. Baker turned to look at the alien admiral. His eyes were tired but satisfied. "Admiral, war isn't about being elegant or following rules.